On Friday, Donald Trump and Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen held a phone conversation. It was a very brief phone conversation. Apparently, the contents were that the Taiwanese president congratulated Trump on winning the U.S. election, and there was a brief discussion on issues of regional importance. The announcement that the call took place raised quite an ire both in the United States and in China. The Chinese viewed this as a move by the Taiwanese to try to manipulate the incoming U.S. president and to try to break from the years of constraints. The Americans frequently saw Donald Trump as a bit of a bumbling idiot who didn't understand what he was doing and didn't understand the niceties of diplomacy. It's unlikely that either of these are exactly the true case. One of the things that we see is this call would not have taken place without advisors on both sides being very aware and working very hard to arrange the timing. And so it was certainly a planned event that both the Taiwanese and the Trump administration knew that this was going to happen, and they knew what some of the implications were. One of the advantages that Trump has doing it at this time is he's still in the unpredictable phase. He still has the ability to do things and to say things that people think, well, at some point the international community or the national system in the United States is going to pull him back and he'll be locked within a certain set of behaviors. And this is in some ways the way the Chinese responded to it. Their initial response was effectively to blame Taiwan. And to say we really ought to be working with the Trump administration. And for now, that seems to be the way they're going to be following through. One of the advantages for the incoming Trump administration in doing this is that it signals to the Chinese that this new administration is willing to play by very different rules. For the past 40 years, relations with China have been constrained by the One China policy, and Taiwan is really seen as that red line in Chinese thinking. If the United States says that it's going to potentially rethink its relations with Taiwan, that becomes a strategic risk to the Chinese. And that's something that China can't tolerate. In some ways, then, this may give the incoming administration a way to potentially trade for other actions from the Chinese that the U.S. would like to see. Actions on North Korea, actions on trade, on currency, even on regional security issues. The risk to this, of course, is that it leads to an escalatory relation between the United States and China. And there's actually a very high risk for the Taiwanese government at this time as well, in that they don't necessarily have a guarantee of the U.S. backing them up if things get knocked out of whack. And yet they do potentially suffer the risk and the consequences of what we're going to be seeing in China's retort.